Hey,
Hola!
today we're going to be taking a look at the adventure-themed game Isla. Isla is a 1 to 5 player game published in 2025 by Ocean City Games. The game is designed by Oleta Forde, Aaron Grove, and Alexander Lucas. In Isla, you will take on the role of an explorer who has to navigate through a variety of terrain types to discover different species of fauna, flora, and fossils that will aid their research. Points are collected or deducted through the research, challenges encountered along the way, and any explored or unexplored spaces at the end of the game. The game ends when all players have either escaped the island or gotten themselves lost and are unable to leave, which happens if a player ever runs out of movement actions. Whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins.
Inside the box you will find one map pad with 100 double-sided pages, 5 polyhedral dice, species map tokens made up of 20 flora, 15 fauna, and 10 fossils, map tokens made up of 5 rests and 5 boulder tokens, 25 exhaustion tokens color-coded to their respective die, 5 wooden explorer pawns, 1 keeper figure for solo mode, 38 research cards, 35 threat cards, 1 first player card, 4 keeper cards for solo mode, and a rulebook. The art style is very cute and nice to look at, with muted colors on the map sheet and vivid colors on the pawns and tokens. The cards feature a smooth finish and have a nice thickness. A nice touch is the flavor text found on the card and throughout the rulebook, which can help us immerse ourselves into the experience. We were happy to see that they provided a set of velvety component bags, allowing us to prep the tokens for each player into a bag each. These will make future gameplay setup a breeze. Everything fits better together in the box, with a cardboard insert helping to keep the cards together, and space for the components and map pad on top.
The game is played over a series of rounds, with each round consisting of the following phases. The round starts with the planning phase, where each player must announce which one of the 3 available actions they will take for that day: rest, explore, or research. Next we have the dice roll phase, where all 5 dice get rolled. Should any dice roll with a value of 1, then the player that rolled the dice must resolve a threat card. Next comes the action phase from the 3 that could have been chosen from before. If any players chose to rest during the planning phase, they will now do so. First, the player will mark off the rest box on their map sheet, or flip the rest token if it's been collected earlier from the map, and then the player refreshes the leftmost exhausted die on their map sheet. For any players that chose the explore phase for this round, will simultaneously resolve the following. 1. Choose an available die to exhaust on this turn. 2. Move their player a number of spaces equal to the value of the exhausted die. Any die icons passed on the stage will refresh the die for the player, and tokens are automatically picked up as soon as the player lands on or passes through a space that contains one. For any players that chose the research phase, now is the chance to use any of their collected tokens to pay for a research card of their choosing, carried out in player order. Once the player has chosen a research card, the remaining research cards are shifted down and a new one is drawn from the deck ready for the next player that's doing research this round. And finally, once all of the players have carried out their actions, it's time to prepare for the next round. This is done by first discarding the furthest research card, moving them all down and drawing a new one from the deck, and the first player card is passed to the next player in a clockwise direction, and they will be the ones to start the next round. The game ends when all players have either escaped the island from the exit point on the map, or they've run out of dice to move, and so have become lost on the island. When all players have finished, you total up your points, adjusting for any threat cards still in your possession. Yay, this was a cool one.
It was.
We first saw it on Kickstarter and decided to give it a try. We know crowdfunding can be a bit of a hit or miss, but I think we're both thinking this is a hit.
We do. To be fair, we love roll and writes.
There is just something so satisfying about rolling some dice and drawing on paper. It's a really cool approach to making a game that feels like you're exploring the island.
I really like the exploring part, the planning ahead, to see more or less where you want to go or what you want to collect first. Every time you play, it will be different because, well, rolling dice and shuffle decks. You won't have the same research cards, the same threats, but also the position of the tokens on your map. You shuffle the tokens too, so your plan will be impacted by the token's location as well.
Yeah, the design of the game allows there to be plenty of replayability, I think, both the position of the map tokens or in how you choose to try and gain points. The threat cards add some interesting setbacks that will make you adapt as you go as well.
I like the threat cards. They spice things up. You have the possibility to overcome that threat if you meet the condition. In our game, I had a threat card that would take points from me at the end of the game unless I explored all mountain spaces, and a similar one but for sand spaces. I fulfilled the sand spaces, so I didn't lose those points, but didn't manage the mountain ones.
Yeah, I had a card that kept reducing the number of spaces I could move on my turn, either lasting through to the next turn or until I carried out a certain action. I think I got stuck with one of those for a while.
Oh, and I like that you are able to activate again the dice by exploring spaces with those specific dice symbols. But there are only 2 of each, so you have to take that into account as well.
Yeah, there are also only 2 rest actions available, the one that you start with, and one to be picked up from the map should you pass over the space. This lets you refresh the leftmost exhausted die, which can be a good strategic move depending on when you play it. You just have to keep in mind you only have 2 options throughout the whole game to do so. The game also has an interesting end-of-game approach. Players don't have to end on the same round, and there is a bonus to those who come first or second. Also, you can score some extra points based on how many spaces you manage to make it past the finish point. Which I thought was interesting as it makes you want to plan your movement and available dice better to get the higher value right at the end.
Yes, you want your last turn to start as close to the end track as possible and to have a higher value die available.
I think in our first game we were both able to plan that pretty well.
But you actually finished before me. I took my time trying to go through as many spaces as I could. So in the last rounds you were rolling dice while I was still exploring and researching, which I think is a cool way to get the ones who finished first still part of the game, still committed to it. One thing that I would change in a game is the symbols of the different terrains being more visible. And somehow on the second map, the forest and the water colors are too dim and blend together too much, making it difficult to tell them apart at first glance. At least for me. I really like the colors on the map though, and on the cards.
I'm happy with what I've experienced so far, so no suggestions really. The learning experience was nice, and getting our first game played was an enjoyable time. There is of course a solo mode in this game, which we've yet to play. I'm really excited for that as I do think it will play well. I find roll and write games often do.
I would just like to add that people can see our names in the rulebook. Yay! On the backers part, we occupied basically a whole line. I know it might sound silly, but I was happy to see it. To be somehow linked to this project, even if it was in helping by backing it.
Yeah, that's a nice thing with Kickstarter or other crowdfunding platforms. It gives us a chance to help a project come to life.
Giving them a little push.
I think this is our first backed project where we got our names mentioned in the book too, so that's fun. So that wraps up our first impressions for Isla, a really nice game to come out of Kickstarter and available now through various board game retailers or direct on their website. Thank you all so much for watching. We've been Board Game Beans.
You've been you.
Have a lovely day and
Happy gaming!